All right, we're back. This time we're joined with Kevin Mohler. Kevin, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm blessed, Jim. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So I've known Kevin for going on a decade now, and just the things that he's doing now, and it's just amazing. But Kevin, we've got guests from all over the world. If we did this right, tuning in. So I know we got people from Melbourne, Australia, that are watching because we've got one of our big change makers is down there. But most of those people are going to have no idea who you are. So can you share a little bit about your background before we get started?
Sure. My background was pretty simple. Many years ago, I started in the construction industry and was working in residential construction, building large scale custom built houses here in South Alabama, where I live today. My dad actually has a 10th grade education. He worked in the environmental industry. My mom was a nurse and worked with children with bleeding disorders. And so when I was growing up, I wanted to become an architect and design and build unique houses. I don't know where that dream came from, but that was my plan many years ago. But God had different plans for me. As I started down that construction field and went to college, 15 credit hours a semester, 5 nights a week, getting all my basics done for an architecture degree, and work in construction in the daytime to support myself and keep the bills paid. Out of desperation, I started my first company to make some additional income. And that ramped up, and I fell in love with entrepreneurship. And many years later, my nephew got diagnosed with autism, which led us down this trail of figuring out what services we could find for him that were available across the country and even in other countries. And as we started to travel and figure that out, me being a business person at the time and my mom coming from the nursing background, we found so many different things that were available to the special needs community that were not local where we live in South Alabama. And even all across North America that we found, we didn't find any place that had them all under one location and one roof. And that's where we got excited about creating what we have today, which is the American Autism and Rehabilitation Center and our foundation for children with special needs. So that's basically a 14-year story, but that's my background and kind of what led us to where we are today.
That's great. And I knew, when we talked about this, as we were talking about, what the event was and why you were nominated. And, in a lot of these, we received nominations from other people. For this one, you were my nomination. And one of the reasons why is because I only knew a glimpse of what you did, but I felt the passion as you told the story before. And I didn't remember all the details. I just remembered your face when you talked about it. And a lot of times our conversations were on the phone. So just like hearing you talk about what you were working on and why it was so important. And as we kind of talked about this, you shared some numbers, the different people that have been helped, the number of people that you employ, the overall impact that this has had on your local area. Can you share some of those stats if you have them handy about number of patients, things like that?
Sure. The ones that I have memorized, of course, I'll be glad to share. So we started the center 6 years ago. It was a dream to create a facility where a parent could take their child to one location and have a variety of services offered. And everything from diagnostician, counselors, psychologists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, physical therapists, ABA therapists. We have a 10,000 square foot facility that has 72 doors on the inside. So you can almost get lost there. It's so large. And what we do is we take care of kids with autism, Asperger's, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, ADD, ADHD, sensory processing disorder. If they're special needs, all the way from a little infant to mid-20s, we can probably help them. In our first 12 months of opening in a very rural area, we did 10,611 patient visits for the year. And I want to share with you that our impact is huge, but it takes a village, right? We've heard that analogy all the time. And that's where we are with our center. We've never turned a profit in 6 years of being open. We have built other companies outside to provide a living for ourselves and to supplement what we need to for the autism center, because we have, almost 40 medically trained individuals working there, some with PhDs, some with other certifications, depending on what division of therapy that we roll out. And we're making a massive impact on the community, but it comes with a massive sacrifice. And the reason why I say that is not from me. I'm talking about our team, and the undertaking of what we've put together is huge. It's needed everywhere, not just in the United States, but all over the world. A prototype like what we've built is needed, but it takes so much, the funding need is so massive. So for an example, if someone comes in and they have the highest paying insurance policy in the state of Alabama, and they come walking in our doors and they have the highest ticketed price therapy, we can bill $80 for that. So if there's a no-show, if there's a cancellation, we still have a 10,000 square foot building. We still have 40 people on payroll. We still have employee benefits. We still have insurance, appointment setting software, electronic medical record system. Heck, we have to provide toilet paper for 10,000 plus visits a year, right? So it's a huge undertaking to put something like this together. But that's what we're so excited about is we look at those patient visits, 10,611 patient visits, our first 12 months, and that was 6 years ago. We've grown since then. So we are seeing a lot of people making a big impact in our local community, so much that people have moved here, their entire family here, just to be able to take their loved one to our facility here in rural South Alabama. So we're excited about the impact that we're making.
That's amazing, Kevin. And you've always been someone to go out there and go after it. I've watched you do that with various businesses. You and I have worked on a project together in the past, and I've seen what you're capable of doing. I know that your nephew was an inspiration, but man, this was a big project. Why? Like I know you a little bit, so I probably know what you're gonna say, but man, that's like there's all in, and then there's like 72 A's and 144 L's in, and you're like all in. So, well, why did you go after it so big?
Well, when we took my nephew, I say we, when my sister took my nephew to the local autism specialist and a diagnostician to be evaluated many, many years ago, what he left with her was devastating. He gave her a list of things that my nephew would never do, gave her a list of things that she would hear about and said and discouraged her from ever trying, things like gluten-free diets and things like different therapies past the age of 3 years old. And it was devastating to her. And we just didn't believe that there was nothing we could do. We believed that there was something we could do. Even if it didn't work, we were going to try. And that's where we had our open mind and started expanding the country. And when we found different things and applied it to my nephew, and it started to work, he started to do things they said he would never do. He started to expand his vocabulary far beyond what they ever said he would do. He started to sleep throughout the night without waking up and banging his head against a wall like he used to do. He completely changed. And when that happened, we said, there's other children out there that need this, not just my nephew. And there's nowhere that they can go to get everything that we know about. Even my own nephew can't go to one location to get everything that we're talking about. I mean, we were flying him to South Florida, and we live in Alabama. So that's a good little ways away just to see a specialist down there. Had another one in California that we worked with. Long story short, we felt called. We felt inspired spiritually to provide this for other people. And it just made me think to myself, which fits very well with this conference and what you've put together, Jim and Larry, is if there's going to be a difference that needs to be made, who's going to make it? And it's up to us. And when we had that idea for that center, we thought, well, who's going to make this possible? And if it's not us, who's going to do it? And that's where we felt inspired and called, and it was a calling. And that's the reason why we took this undertaking. Is we believed spiritually we weren't doing it alone. We believed that we were guided by a higher power, and we submitted to that. And we're here 6 years later.
Wow. So the one thing I will say is so many people wait until they have everything figured out. And, you and I have joked about this. You don't have to figure it out to get started. You just have to start, and then you can figure it out. And, every successful person has a similar story. But, man, what you have done for your community is truly amazing. And I really don't know that there's much better example of what a change maker is than you and Julie and what you guys have put together. So congratulations on your success.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I believe we have a long way to go. We've come a long way, and you're absolutely right. They say that being an entrepreneur or a change maker in this circumstance is jumping off of a cliff and building wings on the way down. That's very much what it's like. Is you just take off and figure out how to build your wings as you're running and falling. And you're going to get bumped, you're going to get scratched, you're going to get bruised. But you know what? It's the people that decide to make a change that make changes. And that's what we decided to do, was to be the change that we wanted to see in the world. And we have a long way to go. We have huge plans for the future. We have new services we're rolling out as we speak. So we're not stagnant. We've made a big impact, which feels great, but nothing in comparison to where we're going, which is exciting. And that's the reason why I'm excited to be part of this conference with you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give you the last 30 seconds as we end this, but I want to one of my favorite quotes ever, and I've said it already on our show, is a quote by Margaret Mead, and I'm going to butcher it up. It's never doubt that a group of committed citizens can change the world. In fact, they're the only ones that ever have. So, congrats, my friend. Tell people how they can get a hold of you, and if there's a way to support you financially, can you share that information as well?
Sure. So you can visit AmericanAutismCenter.org. That's our nonprofit. Right now, we're raising money to replace our playground that got destroyed by the hurricane. So hurricane came through the facility. We had a nice playground, a therapeutic playground for the children of the Autism Center, and the hurricane took that away and destroyed the fence that we had just built in this beautiful playground. So we're raising funds for that. But you can go to AmericanAutismCenter.com is our actual center. And .org is the foundation where we raise money for different causes, that being one of the most recent that we're working on. And you can find me anywhere that you Google Kevin Mohler, Mohler. You can find me on any social media channel. By the way, I manage my own social media. So if you send me a direct message, I will get it, and I will be the one that responds to you personally. So you can find me any social media platform, pretty much I'm on there.
That's great. And for those of you that are maybe just tuning in and have heard Kevin's story, and it's the first part of the Changemakers 21 event that you've heard of, when you go to our website, arevitalizedworld.org, and you make a donation to Revitalize through Changemakers, you have an opportunity to select a beneficiary that will share in part of that donation. And you can choose the American Autism Center. You can choose Kevin Mohler and his family and the organization that they've put together to receive a portion of the donation. Kevin, as we close out, there's going to be a lot of people that heard your story and feel inspired. And, we always talk about, if you light yourself on fire with enthusiasm, people will come from miles around just to watch you burn. A lot of my friends and mentors have said that, and a lot of our shared mentors have said it in the past. But what are your parting words of wisdom for those that feel like they want to do something, but couldn't even fathom doing what you've done, but just want to do something? What are your words of advice as we close out this segment?
Sure. Well, I believe that Richard Branson said it really well one day at a conference that I was blessed to be able to see him speak in person. And he said that if everybody would take on a cause, a mission, or a problem that they had the ability to solve. For some people, it's in their own home. You have an impact that you can make in your own home, which your home has individuals that can make an impact in their respective lives. But make an impact in your home. And if you have the ability to solve something, an issue, a problem, or an opportunity in your neighborhood, then take it on. And if you can do it for your city, do it for your city. And if you can do it for your state, do it for your state. If you can do it for your country, do it for your country. And if you can take on an issue and help the entire world, then you should take it on. And if we all take what we're able to do and capable to do, no matter how scared we may be, no matter how uncertain of the future we may be, maybe we've had failures in the past that we're dragging forward in today's current circumstance and thinking, man, I don't know if I can make this happen. If it's something that you have the ability to do, I believe the word responsibility is the ability to respond. If you have the ability to respond, you should take on that mission to do the best that you can do. And at the end of the day, you can hold your head up high that you attempted what was possible. And what better life lived than to actually take on a cause and something that you're passionate about and to do your best. And when you do that, you will rally other people around your cause, and anything is possible. So start where you are, whether that's in your home or whether that's solving a global issue. Start where you're at, what you're capable of doing, rally that cause, and I promise you, you will never be disappointed for at least attempting to make a difference in the world.
Mr. Mohler, it is always an honor to speak with you and to hear you speak. So thanks for being here. Congratulations again.
Likewise, Jim. Thanks so much, you and Larry, for putting this amazing conference together. I appreciate you both.
Awesome. We're going to be back with more Changemakers. Stay tuned. And we're going to go right back to Mr. Larry Cohn. Larry, take us away.